Holy weaponization of the FBI. Is it true that Kash Patel's FBI threatened Thomas Massie's staff with criminal investigations over their push to expose Epstein and Israel?
One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
Oh, it is true, and there's a lot of kind of through line we're going to follow here. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my freedom-loving friend. This is where we help spread the light of truth and freedom because truth conquers. I just really think it does. Call me an optimist, but I really do think it does. Now, there is a lot of attempted suppression of truth right now. Epstein files, yeah. Also, Epstein linked to Israel and Israel with other stuff. A lot of like, shut the heck up, you're a hateful person if you're disagreeing with us. We have an agenda here. We don't have time to debate it, and we might not be able to win the debate, so shut up. But I don't like the suppression of truth. Now, with Thomas Massie having his staff threatened by Kash Patel's FBI with criminal investigations. Now, this isn't like you're doing crimes, so we might criminally investigate you. No, this is Thomas Massie. He has been one of the biggest proponents of Epstein files must come out transparently. He's also a bit critical of Israel first kind of agendas. So for Kash Patel's FBI to threaten criminal investigations to Thomas Massie's staff is unfortunately not new with the FBI. We have come to expect it. Well, I don't know. The Biden years were, boy, those were something, weren't they? Just the Biden years. Need we remind ourselves of the FBI raiding Trump at Mar-a-Lago so they could find Melania's underpants? So we know the FBI has been weaponized for political reasons. I don't think we're super used to it under Trump yet. However, it's happening. And by the way, I'm not making accusations towards Trump. I will make some correlations. One correlation is Thomas Massie stands very politically opposed to President Trump when it comes to release the Epstein files and, well, let's do America first and not Israel first. And so for Trump's FBI under Kash Patel's leadership to do this is, well, it ain't right. Is Trump implicated? I don't know. There's a correlation there, but what I do know is I don't like it. Now, one of the through lines with all this, ladies and gentlemen, is Israel. And we're going to take a look in a second. I feel like I have the Biden speech impediment right now. In a second, we'll take a look at the full Thomas Massie clip, something from Tucker Carlson. But first, as it relates to, is the FBI being weaponized to shut down the truth coming out about subjects related to Israel? Epstein is kind of maybe one of those. We're going to take a look at a hilarious video of Ted Cruz being booed off stage, and he says something absolutely reprehensible. Some people are calling it treason. It's just hilarious as well. Take a look at this.
I will say this, I am saddened.
Ted is saddened
to say that some here, not everyone, but some here, most of us, are so consumed with hate that you cannot address your brother. I will say this.
You speak for yourself.
If you will not stand with Israel and the Jews,
No.
then I will not stand with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
The gala solidarity dinner. There's Ted Cruz literally saying, I will not stand with you. And like standing with people, whatever that means, is like solidarity. So Ted, that is poetic. I love it. There's a little bit to break down. Ted's big takeaway of that sounded like a well-received speech, which, by the way, this is from 11 years ago. It's 2014. Ted Cruz talking points on Israel are the same, so it's still relevant. I think more relevant now. So Ted's main takeaway is, if you will not stand with Israel, I will not stand with you. Here's what's interesting. Ted Cruz is an American politician, and at that dinner, he was talking to what's called Americans. This was a dinner in Washington, D.C. Those are Americans. Ted is literally an American politician telling Americans, if you don't stand with a foreign nation, then I, as an elected leader of yours, will not stand with you, Americans. Golly. Is that flirting with treason? Dude, it'd be, you kind of expect like a good patriot politician to say, dude, if you won't stand with America, then I won't stand with you. But when he's telling Americans, if you don't stand with Israel, then I will not stand with you. I will not stand with Americans, specifically at this dinner. Wow. Ted, that's a big one. That's a big one, and it's very common. Let me show you something else. Quick replay of a small section that's become all too common nowadays. Listen to this.
Are so consumed with hate.
Apparently what happened in this is Ted was talking about like Israel's amazing, and someone said like, I got some questions. So Ted's response is, there are some people in this room so consumed with hate. And you heard how the room reacted. That's how I react when I'm posting stuff, comedy videos or commentary videos that raise questions about Israel. In the comments, it's very predictably people accusing me of hate. That is a woke tactic. You don't like what I said, so you're being hateful. That's what that is. You are being hateful. And I share this bigger picture. It's relevant because there appears to be a lot of political people, like elected leaders in the U.S., that want to just suffocate any speech that's raising questions about Israel. Even so much with the Epstein files. Kash Patel and the FBI threatening Thomas Massie with criminal investigation, in other words, trying to intimidate them into being more silent. That's becoming very commonplace now. Now, before we get back to Thomas Massie, I do have to point out one more thing. This is leftist stuff that Ted Cruz is doing. Now, you'd say, leftist? Boy, that's like the woke communist, blue-haired stuff. Now, I like to call balls and strikes when I see them. If I see people on the right doing woke stuff, I will call it out. It's 1984 playbook thing. So, of course, him just trying to squash the disagreement by saying this room's full of hate and then literally banning him. I will not stand with you. If you don't stand with Israel, here's how leftist that is. Let's rewind the clock like 4 or 5 years ago. Do you remember when there was the whole put the Ukraine flag in your Twitter bio, stand with Ukraine? Nobody on the right was saying that. Well, some warmongering conservatives certainly were. However, it was a thing on the left. Stand with Ukraine. What does that mean? Go to Ukraine and stand there with them. Also, go to Israel. Stand there with them. Israel is the best place to stand with Israel. If you love Israel more than the U.S., go to Israel. It's fine. So, Ted Cruz, you guys aren't standing with Israel. It's like, yeah, we're in D.C. Like, what do you mean? Ted basically should have dyed his hair blue for this. I share this, one, because it's a hilarious clip, a great speech from Ted Cruz, but also because there is just a mountain of experiences that are happening at light speed nowadays where there is absolutely an insane political agenda to silence negative speak about the Israeli government. And in fact, so much so, if you remember from earlier this year, there was talk about banning speech that is hateful towards Jews, anti-Semitic. Now, if you don't have free speech, or if you don't have hate speech, you do not have free speech. So out of everything in the world that there is to speak hatefully about, why that was being brought up in the U.S., I will say it. It is so obvious that so many U.S. politicians are being controlled by Israel. Under complete control? I don't know about that. But any level of control, foreign nation having any Like more than zero. Any level of control over a U.S. politician is way too much control. And then, golly, we could start asking questions about entire three-letter agencies being controlled by Israel. 100% control? I don't know about that. Remember, any level of control a foreign nation has over a U.S. three-letter agency, federal agency, is way too much control. So here's a minute clip with Thomas Massie saying more. We'll get back to the video, but first, the wellness company has one big annual sale just in time to fulfill your New Year's resolutions. Whether you need to kickstart your weight loss goals or you want to stock up on nutraceutical blends that help you stay in optimal health, the wellness company has everything you need to keep you out of urgent care and keep you feeling limitless as 2026 approaches. The wellness company Black Friday deal runs from November 27th to November 30th. Save 25% off all supplements like Recharge, RX scripts like ivermectin, and even peptide products like Smile. And 20% off one wellness memberships to offset overpriced insurance. All the well care you need digitally ordered and delivered right to your door. This is the best time of year to stock up on your favorite products, and it's a perfect chance to grab some holiday gifts for family members and friends. But hurry, because this amazing holiday sale is only 4 short days, so take advantage of it now and stock up. Head to twc.com/jpreacts and enjoy amazing Black Friday savings. Discounts are applied at checkout. That's twc.com/jpreacts for up to 25% off everything site-wide. You can't put a price on health. Now back to the video.
Also, I'm going to say this here on camera because it's important. One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
I was going to ask you about that, but since you brought it up, and I didn't
I'm bringing it up.
Okay, you brought it up.
And so, like a criminal investigation having nothing to do, he said it was going to be a fraud. We're going to investigate one of your staff for fraud. Right. And he told another one of my staff this. If you guys don't straighten up, if you want to play hardball, if this is how you want to play it or something like that, this member of your staff is going to get criminally investigated for fraud. A very specific threat.
Yes, Mr. Massie, that is a very specific threat. Now, what I notice with U.S. politicians, and then people all over the internet, kind of like the Israel First crowd versus America First crowd, there tends to be like two reasons cited for why Israel has to be so prioritized and so not looked at with potential criminal involvement with Epstein or other nefarious things. And by the way, Netanyahu is actually, there's a warrant out for his arrest by the United Nations? Anyway, something, crimes against humanity, kind of genocide sort of thing. But nonetheless, there's two things that the Israel First crowd cites. One is Israel is a great ally. All right. Fair enough. Like, you agree, disagree. I agree with some of that. I disagree with some of that. So, but cool. That's one of the main pillars of why Israel should be so prioritized and not questioned. Number two is Israel is God's chosen place, and the people there are God's chosen people. Read the Bible. Look into it. That second pillar, I personally am in 100% disagreement with. As is Tucker Carlson. I'll share a short clip of him just bringing the fire on that in a second. In short, and by the way, what I'm about to share, I don't intend, nor do I think it will convince anybody of anything. It's me sharing where I'm at. There's a lot more detail I'll perhaps share in a future commentary video. But when Bibles are referenced about, Israel is God's chosen place and, protect them, and therefore God will protect you. I've heard political leaders literally say that. That's why we have to protect Israel. I believe that is a fraudulent message, not written by the politicians, written long ago. In short, and again, perhaps if I'm ready to be potentially assassinated by Israel, hello, just so you know, I've never thought about taking my own life. I don't intend to if I'm eliminated. Probably not after this video, but after the video I'm talking about, just know, call Candace Owens. That's all I'm saying. Ask her to look into what happened. But in 1909, the Scofield Reference Bible was written by a guy named Scofield. He was objectively a criminal. He was in jail for fraud. He was an alcoholic. And anyway, he was commissioned by a lot of backers. Some say Zionists, hard to say. But he was definitely paid a lot of money to create what's called the Scofield Reference Bible, published by Oxford Press. How that happened, that's interesting. But back then, if you control the presses, you control the narrative. Anyway, that brought Zionism into the U.S. and branded our interpretations at a massive level of the Bible with Zionism. Perhaps in a future video I'll get more into it, but just for example, through the normal biblical interpretations, you'll see words like Christ and church. That's great. But the Scofield Reference Bible, what heavily indoctrinated how the Bible is interpreted and read by Christian churches all across the land, starting back in 1909, they would change the words Christ and heaven to Israel quite a bit. Now, that is a very large leap, very large assumptive leap, let alone a leap literally written by a guy who was in jail for fraud, and he also abandoned his wife and kids. Now, out of everybody there is for me to trust their interpretations of the Bible, that is not someone I trust, not whatsoever. So much of in the Israel prophecies, it was all in the Scofield Reference Bible, not so much the regular Bible. In short, Zionism. Zionism was heavily brought to the U.S. in 1909 with the Scofield Reference Bible. Christian Zionists, there's Jewish Zionists, which are different than actual Judaism, and I don't buy into any of it. It actually looks very fraudulent to me. Therefore, when politicians cite Israel's God's chosen people, is like, that was an interpretation published in 1909 by a criminal alcoholic who abandoned his wife and children. That's what you're basing your national policy on? Now, in reality, I don't think that's what they're basing their national policy on or their foreign policy. I think that's a rationalization they're using. I think they follow the money trail, whether it's AIPAC donations or blackmail or whatever it is. I think that's the real motivation to, at times, put Israel before U.S. interests. But nonetheless, the rationalization is like, I don't buy into that whatsoever. Long story short, perhaps I'll make a future video just more deep diving and sharing not just my words, but actual evidence of what I'm saying. I'm not doing that here because that's not the point of this video. And my point here isn't to convince anybody of anything. It's just to share why I do not value when U.S. leaders say, well, we have to protect Israel because that's God's chosen people. Now, here's Tucker Carlson with his opinion on why all that's garbage as well.
This is a message aimed at Christians, who are the largest group of Israel supporters in the United States. And their view of Israel is colored not just by sentimental attachment, which is fine, or trips to Israel, great, no problem, but by a Christian heresy, the oldest of the Christian heresies, which is that God somehow prefers some people based on their DNA. And of course, the whole point of Christianity is that that is no longer true.
That would kind of make God racist if he likes some people based on their DNA better than others.
There is no chosen people. The chosen people are people who choose Jesus. That is the Christian message right there. It's not an anti-Semitic message, by the way. It's the Christian message. It's the core Christian message. And yet there are many, many self-described representatives of the Christian faith, the world's largest, who are daily sending a different message. And we should be very clear. Whatever this is, it's not Christianity, it is heresy. And among the many examples we could pick, we're going to go, because we couldn't control ourselves, with Lindsey Graham. Watch.
To people in my party, I'm tired of this crap. Israel is our friend. They're the most reliable friend we have in the Mideast. They're a democracy, surrounded by people who would cut their throats if they could. This is not a hard choice if you're an American. It's not a hard choice if you're a Christian. A word of warning. If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
God will kill you if you don't support Bibi Netanyahu. That's what he's saying. And there are cheers, unfortunately, cheers when he said that God will kill you. He will pull the plug on you like a quadriplegic in intensive care. You're going to flatline unless you support the secular abortion-on-demand government of Israel. That's the Christian perspective, really. That God loves some people more because of their DNA, that is not the Christian message. That's the opposite of the Christian message. The Christian message is universal. That's the whole point of it. The chosen people in Christianity are those who choose Jesus. The entire New Testament is that story. And anyone who says otherwise has not read it or is lying. God does not prefer you because of your DNA or anyone else because of their DNA, period. So the fact that people can stand up in the United States in 2025 and say something like that, and by the way, not even make the case, just invoke the power of God as a weapon. He will kill you. He'll pull the plug on your country unless you go along with this. We need more war. Listen to yourself. And it's not just Lindsey Graham. It's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It's a lot of people, some of whom are very nice people. People have dinner with them. They seem perfectly normal. But this is a heresy, and it's deranged. And you know it's deranged because it is a justification for killing the innocent. And in Christianity, if there's one thing that's crystal clear, it's that Christians cannot abide the killing of the innocent. People who have done nothing wrong cannot be killed. That's a sin. You are not allowed to do that, period.
Well, my friend, let me know in the comments what you think about Kash Patel's FBI trying to intimidate Thomas Massie's staff into being a little bit more play ball-like when it comes to Epstein, Israel kind of thing. And I also realized we opened a door in this video to be continued on some of this, like, gosh, is Israel really God's chosen people? Is it America's duty to protect Israel based on that? Because God will pull the plug on America if we don't. Perhaps we will pick up that topic in a much more deep dive in a future video. I got a few things to say about that. But nonetheless, on this topic about the FBI, Thomas Massie, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, stay free.